The Wellness Show, Episode 49.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. So welcome to the Wellness Show, and today I'm excited to have David Adelson with me, and today we're going to talk about something very, very interesting, and that has to do with home and neighborhood security. Now, this is a really interesting topic, an unusual one, but interesting because we're all faced by increasing rates of crime, mostly in the United States, but I could say throughout North America and Europe. There's a great fear. I don't really know why there's such a rising sense of fear. Maybe it's that, I think it's time to do something about it. So, David, what have you done about this?
Well, we've developed, about a decade ago, we started working with frequencies, quantum level unified field frequencies that generate harmony and dissolve stress and negativity. And we found that by projecting these through very simple common technologies, very easily accessible, we can radiate this into the environment and minimize catastrophes or prevent catastrophes. And we had some very exciting results with them over the years. We had some bigger units running for a long time that covered large geographic regions. And then recently, because of the Truthfully, because of the mass shootings in the United States and abroad, we realized people need something that's affordable to them, that they can do in their home. We actually originally tried to get like large amounts of money to put big systems up, but they were cost prohibitive. Now we have things that people can put in their home in a very cost-effective way, and we actually guarantee no violence or accidents or break-ins for the people who live in the home for 1 year for up to a 5-mile radius. And we can do this based on our experience with the systems that we've had over time. And as we progress, I'll tell you what our history has been with them. So,
wow, that's really exciting. So does that actually help the human being entrain to the frequencies? Like, for example, are we limited to the 5 miles, or does the human become entrained to the frequency and start to carry it with them wherever they go?
It's an interesting question, Tyson, because we actually have a system that's a different one that actually develops the inner potential that is unlimited, that in fact the unit that my son is using is here in California and he lives in Thailand. And so he's working from a distance and infusing those. But these particular frequencies, this particular one for what we call the DEVA, D-E-V-A, Danger and Violence Avoidance Security, Safety and Security System, long title. Anyway, for the DEVA systems, we actually were concerned about the physical geographic location. So it's not something that the individuals take with them. Truthfully, I haven't figured out how to do that.
One of the reasons I asked is in the quantum sound therapy that I'm working at, they just developed a small sound generator using scalar wave technology that is small enough that I can carry it with me. And it seems like it might be something, this is for raising consciousness. It seems to me that protection would be quite amazing too. So that's the size.
Yeah. Right? Even that would work. That would work. And I'd be very excited about that. I'd love something a little bit smaller, but I would love that people, because it's one of the things that I've been looking at for a long time is how portable can I get this? Because sure, you're on the subway, you're in the stadium, you don't want, you want safety everywhere you go. You and I should talk about that more. So
I think that's an exciting, personal transmission. And so are they, I know I'm asking unusual questions, but anyway, let's just go for it. Can they talk to each other? Are they on the same frequency? So like if there was one within 5 miles of of another one? Do they talk to each other? Or,
Well, talk to each other. They will amplify, if that's what you're
right.
asking. So if
Yeah,
you
so they're
have,
on the same frequency, and that you can then have a pool of them.
exactly, and that's exactly the plan, Tyson, is that you get 50, 60, 70 of these in New York City, and it takes care of New York City. You get, we want, in an ideal world, if we could do what we wanted with a snap of our fingers, we'd put 7,000 across the US and then go, because from our perspective, a lot of the violence is originating here. Even though we're seeing things happen in other places, there are 2 or 3 major parts of the world where I'd love to just put a whole bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd start with the US, and then I'd hit the Middle East, and those are the spots where you could just, there'd be no excuse for violence with all the harmony. So yeah, I'd love to do that. But yes, exactly, to answer your question, more together will add a bigger influence, and it will go farther.
Another question is, we know that government plays with this sort of technology in a negative way for all sorts of mind control and all the rest of it. So I guess the question is that how does this work with that? Is it of your belief system or of your knowingness that the highest frequency or predominance or good or bad or ugly, the dominant frequency always wins? So is there any way of knowing whether this can cancel out those sorts of misuses of frequency that can occur?
It cancels out the basis of them.
Aha.
So it kind of comes in, it's an interesting question. It comes in underlying it's basically, and I hate to use this analogy about something that I love so much, but if you take the plant, let's use a building. It's basically taking the foundation out from the building. So it doesn't deal with the building, but once the foundation's out, what's going to happen? Well, people are going to stop going in that building because, the influence of the building is going to be dramatically reduced. This was not designed to aggressively, directly influence things like chemtrails or any of those things. It's designed to eliminate the basic level of disharmony in the environment and in the human nervous system that allows those other things to manifest. So it dissolves the tension and the anger and the violent tendencies and the frustration and hostility, and it creates a very loving, harmonious pattern within the area so that people just relax and settle down, not because they're, it's not like things they did in the concentration camps where they got people to just settle down so they wouldn't be violent, but rather this actually gives people clearer thinking so that, but it puts them more in tune with natural law, with the natural structure of things. And nature we don't have a lot of problems with. It's when we mess it up that typhoons come and these other things come. So when we get people who are clear thinking and they're happier and they're more fulfilled, these are not the people who create problems. These are the people who solve problems. So we work at very deep levels to shift that within the consciousness itself. And then these other things have no influence.
Right.
It doesn't matter even if they're there, they just have no influence.
Right. So it seems like the dominant energy, if it's peace or love or coherence or however we want to describe vibrational frequencies, if they're for the common good or the highest frequency per se, then it's going to cancel out those ones that are more low frequency that have to do with mind control or unsettling the human consciousness or whatever. So I can see how this could be very, very effective, both on the, as you say, not only the household level, the neighborhood level, and ultimately on the personal level, wherever you go. And of course, I could understand why you'd want to put them into hospitals and institutions so people can settle down and the natural healing process can then kick in because they're not under stress and duress. So awful lot of potential in the work that you're doing that I can see.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've looked at it, and places to put them are schools, hospitals, prisons, police stations, high rate crime areas. Again, I mentioned the Middle East. Anywhere where there's violence, you could pop a bunch of these in, and it could just stop the tension. The things that have been going on for generations could be evaporated in just a few years. Again, depending on how many systems you get, and we can create them to be somewhat powerful. But I think these days, we did that. We created so that we only needed 6 for the United States. But the problem with that was there was so much resistance that we could never get. We got way more than 6 up, but we couldn't get them where we actually needed them. Because the resistance in the different parts of the country, and I'm not talking about people resistance, it just whatever was fighting against this or again resisting it was just not allowing it to happen. We actually had people donate money, so we had at one point 3 or 4 of these systems that were paid for, ready to go, and all we were doing was looking for people who were willing to put it in their house. And they would get huge benefits from it, and they just had to look at it twice a day and make sure it was running, turn it on in the morning, or hit a remote control pause or start morning and evening, and that was all they had to do. But they had to make a commitment. This was in 2011, and we wanted to smooth out for the first few years at 2012 and the big changes going on, and we couldn't find people in 3 of the places 3 out of 6 places in the U.S. we couldn't even come close to. We couldn't find people in those areas. We ended up putting several, and then we created lower and lower powered units because we found that we could get people who would, I'll do my neighborhood because it has less requirements. So now these days we're just going to do many more of the smaller ones rather than the big ones. But just as you mentioned before, you get 2 next to each other, 4 within 8. They exponentially increase each other. So
the bigger ones that you were doing, what was the radius of that?
We only needed 6 for the whole U.S.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
Yeah, one of the people who was hosting one, we had one in Western Massachusetts, right on the New York border. Slightly above Connecticut, halfway between Connecticut and Vermont, and right on the New York border. So it's a pretty populated area. Boston was within the range of it. New York City, Manhattan, all of that was in the range of it. Albany, the capital of New York, was a 45-minute drive away. Excuse me. And one of the people living there, the woman who was living there, said, a few days after they had started running it, she had gone to the neighboring town, and when she came back, she said about 6 miles out, she just felt this cushion of softness, and she said she'd driven that road for years and never felt anything like that. And as she got closer to it, she just really noticed a huge, powerful difference. But it was going well beyond that. So there's actually a picture that I haven't been able to find. My sister sent it to me years ago. When Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast, there's a satellite picture that shows the whole coast, that whole region being devastated, and there's a hole in the cloud directly above where this system was.
Well, I can understand that. I know, dealing with sacred geometry, that we worked with some crystal and copper pipes and set it up and as part of a labyrinth, and the whole cloud cover above it, they just burnt a hole right through the clouds. You could see the influence. So I know that's perfectly possible because I've experienced it firsthand, which is really exciting because it means that we can start to heal the environment using this sort of technology as well, remove trauma locked in the earth, and we can free the human being from a lot of the trauma that's multi-generational. So I'm quite excited by the work you're doing. I see it as part of the advanced work that we need to do, where the frequencies are supporting us and enhancing us rather than the other way around, where the cell towers and the technology that we're using now are actually counterproductive to our health and well-being. So it's
And,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
No, go ahead.
but and just to get slightly off the topic from the Davis systems, one of the very cool things, I was working with this person who, one of the things is, you're exactly right, all our programs are designed to support all the other good programs. So we don't have conflicts with anything else. If somebody wants to bring in crystals or tubing or sound or any of that, because of the frequencies that we're working on, the worst thing that's going to happen is we'll be neutral. And the best thing is they're going to feed off each other and
Yes.
have a much more explosive thing, which is, of course, what we're trying to do. Just as you said, we need to, basically put the whole planet in the wash and come out clean, and everybody's fresh and vibrant, and the old stuff goes down the drain, whatever that means cosmically. But we were working with this guy who is very sensitive and very much involved in helping develop different technologies than mine, but very, very cool things. And at one point where he was living, he was saying he was getting very uncomfortable because of what was going on the grid system for electricity to be running through everywhere. And he was saying, oh my God, I won't be able to be in the whole 2/3 of the United States because of this thing that they're doing. And what we said, we said, no, it's not, it's just one switch and the whole thing goes from negative to positive. Right now, you're right, all of these cell towers, all these things are giving out destructive frequencies, but we don't need to eliminate that. There are ways that, and this is not my field, but there are ways that we can just shift you just tune it. You just put a little adapter in and change it a little bit, and it can go from sending out destructive frequencies to sending out positive frequencies, and then you already have the rest of the structure. So, it's a wonderful, I don't see it happening for a few more years, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah, so you're saying it's not only doable, it's not that complicated, and it wouldn't be that expensive. We're just we're just attuning the frequencies that already exist. Yeah, that's really exciting to me and positive, because there's so much work going around, smart meters and how they're broadcasting and the influences. And I mean, this goes on and on and on. We're just, I think there are, last count, there's like 2,700 man-made interrupters that are in our human environment that are all frequency based. Most of them are not positive. So we live in a real soup or sea of non-coherent energy, and you coming along and taking that energy and making it coherent, I mean, it will just take the pressure off of every individual. I begin to remember who they are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole purpose. But yeah, the interesting thing, the guidance that I have been given, and I work with the Divine Mother through gifts that I have, that I'm eternally grateful for. But what I was told is that there are already on the planet, everything that we need to fix it technology-wise is here and could be put together within 3 years, that we could completely take care of everything within 3 years if the people decide to do it. And, and that's a big if, because that's one of the big things that we work on is individual choice, is people who, here in the United States, it's fascinating to me to watch, and I don't want to get into the whys of it, what's causing it, who's manipulating who and everything. But I have to say, and I don't want to sound like superior or condescending or whatever, but from a level of someone in the audience watching it, it's a very different thing than from somebody who's on the stage playing the role. And when I look at like what just happened in Great Britain with the whole Brexit thing, and then all the trauma about it and everybody freaking out about it, and the most simple solution at all is they can just have another vote. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from doing it. They decided to have the vote. They don't have to, they can say, what is it? Abraham Lincoln or somebody said, if you don't know what to do, you flip a coin. When you flip a coin, you don't have to do what it says, but it'll tell you which one is the right one to do. If you go, oh, I don't like that one, to go with the other one. There's no cosmic law that says I flipped a coin, I have to do this now,
Right.
And so it's the whole thing is somebody arbitrarily said, let's have a referendum. And somebody could now say, oh, well, we don't like the way that came out. Let's do it. Let's have a do-over. There's nothing stopping them from doing it. And then you see all these people screaming and the EU is freaking out and we're going to penalize you. And the people are, oh, I wouldn't have voted that way if I'd known what it was. And the biggest thing is that the biggest searches the night and the morning after on Google in the UK were, what is the EU and what does leaving the EU mean?
Yes.
It's like, and the same thing in the US you just have to decide, I don't like that answer. That is a nice dress that we ordered, but I don't like it. I'll send it back. It doesn't matter that I ordered it. You send it back.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that this is part of the decision making that you're helping people actually make. I don't want to get into conspiracy theory either, but I suspect that not very many people are able to make the decision because they don't even know there's a decision to make. So
I
them up energetically with the energies you're talking about, they will intuitively be able to connect to source and get the answer that's beneficial for them. So that to me is exciting. It almost like reboots the whole human brain, and to some extent, with enough of the technology, the whole underlying consciousness to reconfigure and start to realign itself. To me, that's an awesome possibility.
Yeah, it's very exciting because what we feel is the biggest role is to empower people to take responsibility for themselves and activate that. And we actually have a system that's designed specifically, and that's the one I was telling you about before the call, to do that alignment within a person so that they become independent of the environment and fully awake within themselves, and enhances whatever self-development programs or prayers or connections that they're doing. And that's called our Alter Inner Development System. And you can be literally on the other side of the planet and it works just as effective as if you're in the room. The Davis system works a little bit differently because what it does is it punches a hole in the cloud. So you were talking about all the influences coming around. If you're walking through a fog, or if the lights are out and it's night, you're going to bump, you're going to scrape your toes, smash your shins, drop things, you won't be able to bend over to pick them up and you hit your head on the counter, all kinds of things are going to be. And we're going to put a spotlight in that area. And then automatically, just as what you were saying, automatically, I don't step there. I don't make that decision. I don't do that thing. This particular one, we didn't put it in it, and I kind of got the feeling not to when we were developing it, but anything can change. This was designed to fix the environment, because if you can fix the environment and everybody can wake up within themselves, then they can make the right choices. They're not influenced by, as you said, all these things coming in around us. Then they can see that, oh, this is not in my best interest. This does not support my family. This does not support my community, my culture, whatever it is. And it's basically removing the veil that's physically around them. So you mentioned so many frequencies are being bombarded. Turn them off. If they're simply not influencing the person, my God, what a difference it makes in that person's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see that, even the ability to self-heal will increase exponentially as well. So
Exactly.
So what brought you to all this? How did you arrive at this interest?
I'm one of those people that came in with the mission, from the word go.
Yeah.
And You know, I mean, the story I heard, I can't, you know, countless times when I was a kid is, and this was late 40s or early 50s. I was born in the early 50s. And, you know, my grandmother went to this intuitive person. They had tea. The person told her all these things. My sister, one thing after another. Anyway, they just, you know, here to do stuff. And I had very clear experiences when I was a kid of we'll just say expanded consciousness and other things. And, you know, as a teenager, I was very aware that what I was seeing was not what the other people around me were seeing.
Yes.
I got involved, very fortunately, no idea what to do with it. I mean, you know that feeling when you know there's something, and there's a lot of people that I know probably in your audience that can relate to this. I'm supposed to do something, but I don't know what, you know,
Yes.
and you have a feeling, and I just spontaneously turned a corner one day when I was 20 and learned transcendental meditation as taught by His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, gave me a structure to understand certain things. There is a university in Iowa, Maharishi University of Management, fully accredited, kindergarten through PhD. I went there, I actually taught there for a while. It put a structure to what I was seeing, to the understanding. Their whole thing is unified field-based everything. If you can get to the, you know, water the root to enjoy the fruit, if you can get to the basis, you can change anything. If you've got a tree that's having problems on this branch, on this branch, and this branch, if you take care of the root structure, the whole thing kind of works out. So it's a very fundamental thing, and I was very much involved with them for years. My son got very sick at one point. All kinds of deities started showing up in my life, and things just rocketed after that, and started seeing things and started doing things. And I was told, you can download all of these particular, the first thing was geometries that you could download. So I started doing some art, and then, and you know the thing, suddenly you have art, you have audio, you have video, now I have this, and the whole thing was always, you know, what can we do for the world? What can we do for the world?
Mm-hmm.
So it was always big.
So out of curiosity, going back to the DIVA system, how much are we talking about in American dollars to have a system in your home?
We have, thank you for asking, we have 3 levels of the system. The best level of the system, I think, retails for $11,000, and if you go through, you can get it, we have it on sale all the time for, I think it's around $7,000.
Right.
And the best unit, that's the one that comes with a 1-year guarantee that nobody in your family within a 5-mile radius will be in an accident, car accident, any kind of accident, no violence to them, no break-ins in the house for a year. That's a guarantee, and or we just buy it back from you.
Mm-hmm.
But then we thought, you know, we know people who would love to have the program, but that's out of their price range. They can do monthly or a one-shot thing. Spread it out over a year. I don't remember the breakdown. I think it's like $700 a month for 12 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
So then we came out with another system that's like $3,000. That's still really good, doesn't have the guarantee, still very powerful, and again, half the price, so $300 a month for a year or something. And then we thought, but you know, we know there's so many people that would want something, and that's out of their price range. So we actually came up with the smallest version of it is $500.
Wow.
It's $50. It's $50 a month for, I think it's like $99 for the first time. And then it's $49 a month for a year, I think, takes care of it. And it's more centered on the home. It doesn't go as much into the community, but again, have several in the community, it's going to have an influence.
Mm-hmm. So,
you know, and again, we had talked, so those are the 3 primary units. If we wanted to put something in the hospitals, or if we, you know, I'm not excited about doing some kind of crowdfunding thing, but in some ways, because they take a lot of energy, and we've done things in the past. But in some ways, I'd love to just be able to donate them to police stations, donate them to hospitals, donate them to homeless shelters. I mean, that would be a great gift, and we will do that as part of the we're going to take 10% of the money that comes in, and we're just going to do that as they get paid, and I can actually buy them cheaper than I can sell them. So we look forward. My goal is to get 7,000 of these up in the U.S. this year. And God willing, it'll happen. And it needs to happen because there's so much craziness going on right now. So
I love that. So I have one last question. We're getting into near the end of the show. So before you tell us how to get hold of you, what's your most exciting thing that you're working on now? And I know that you're going to have many, many things that you're working on now, but what's your most exciting one?
This one, and believe it or not, a program for rescued pets.
Wow, I love it.
And this is it's a $39 program. They have to go out and buy a small, $40, $50 boom box. They plug it in, they set it in near where the pet hangs out or eats or whatever. And it dissolves the trauma or the stress of whatever happened to the rescued pet before it was rescued. And it also helps harmonize the people who live there. And we've seen it work, and it completely changes the fundamental existence of the pet. Even those people who I rescued my pet 7 years ago and he's happy and he's fine. And on one level they are, but they're totally missing the underlying point of this pet was rescued. He's got some trauma, and this takes care of those in a really simple, loving way. It makes the pet feel safe, it makes them feel loved, and it makes them feel like life is good. So, and it's $39.
And will it do it for the owners as well, I hope?
They would need a different program, but again, it's going to rub off. It's going to have an influence, but it's primarily for the pet. But and people notice. People have noticed things within days. I mean, in fact, that's our guarantee. If you don't notice anything in your pet in 10 days, send it back. We'll give you your money back.
Wow. Well, you have very much in common with some of my interests around scalar wave technology, quantum sound therapy, using sound and light to heal. So I'm sure we're going to be in touch with each other. So how do people get in touch with you and do the next step?
If they're looking at the DEVA system right now, we have a free downloadable healing, it's silent healing. I think I talked for a couple of minutes in the beginning. And wouldn't it be lovely if I had that address? Heavencreating.com.
So do it again.
Just the word heavencreating, one word, .com. Will take you to a free, it's called a webinar, but it's a clearing. Yeah. And it's just to help you feel safe and secure that's it. That's all it's for. I believe it's downloadable, but you can go there and get that. And that's a great way to get started about the DEVA system, is experience something first.
Yes.
For the PET program, we actually have a downloadable PDF, and that's comfortforyourpets.com. All one word, comfortforyourpets.com, and that'll lead you to the program that we have. And it also gives you a whole bunch of other great low-cost things you can do to help your rescue pet. So,
now, I know that you just had a little flash of insight of something you forgot. So what did you forget?
I'm part of a group who we get together every Sunday and we do global clearings based on intentions that we get from divine guidance to create heaven on earth, the golden age, whatever we want to call it. And it's globalclearings.com, and people can go and download the weekly clearings and listen to them. And when they listen to them, it clears. They're all silent, minimal talking. And in most of them, we talk about the experiences of the various healers involved. We actually intentionally set out to get a wide variety of people from a wide variety of different backgrounds to bring harmony to that all the people on the side of righteousness should be working together. And that They haven't been. And we need that because together we are absolutely invincible. But when we have a faction over here that thinks and that, it's not as powerful. So we put this program together 4 or 5 months ago. When they download or listen to the clearing, it not only clears it for themselves, but it reinvigorates it for the whole planet. And all of these things, all of these clearings, as you'll hear if you listen to it, are for all the beings in, on, and surrounding Earth. So we're getting everybody just to
I love it.
help. And that's completely free to everybody all the time. We do it free. It's a freebie thing, and that's globalclearings.com.
That sounds great. Because the byline I use is let's start clearing the earth one person at a time, starting with ourselves.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, it was great talking to you. You've offered so much and so many goodies for people on the call to download and get to work. Clear.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for asking great questions, some of which I never thought of before. So this is very good. It's very pleasurable. And yes, I do expect you and I will talk more. So
absolutely. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much, Tyson. You have a good one yourself.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.